Okay, we are live. Hello and
Oh, it
welcome
worked.
to the bane of my fucking existence. Another fucking Islanders podcast.
Brandon, why are you vertical?
I am with Brandon Gaines and Michael Moisa, Michael Dino Dangle. Um, let's just use this as a therapy session, a way to unpack things, a safe space, if you will, to vent about the team without repercussion. Gentlemen, you have the floor.
Brandon,
Mike,
you
go
got to
first.
switch. No, you got to switch to horizontal. This is This is not a vertical podcast.
How do I do that? Like so?
Yeah, there
Yeah,
you go.
it's
Done.
like
Okay.
So,
Technology. Eh?
so, so I have something planned for us that's fun in a bit that we can go over together, and that'll take up a lot of time on this podcast because it's going to give us some potential idea of what the Islanders might be doing in the near future. But I think we should
okay.
start off. We should start off with saying this: we were all very wrong, more than likely, about where this team is going to finish. Now,
I don't see. I don't think we were that wrong because nobody had them in like first, second place. We all had them like in the last wild card spot or out of it, and I don't think
third.
they're going to crater. I think they're
No,
going to be like 2 spots behind the last wild card spot, maybe. So
I'm
not that far off.
no.
It
Everybody
just
said
looks a
third.
lot worse.
I
You
think
guys
they're gonna.
said third.
I think they're gonna
I did
crater.
not say third.
We need to go back and replay that for John because I'm
I
pretty
pick. I,
sure.
I I picked third, and they're gonna crater.
I said that they're going to be like a bubble team. But no, I don't think they're going to crater. I think they're going to like stay as like 10 points outside of a playoff spot, something like that. Like, let's see.
Oh, also two things. I have another thing planned as well. I have two games planned for us to do today. So I'll probably do the more fun one first and then the interesting one second. But you guys will enjoy this because it'll give you some things to talk about that we may not have even thought about. So yeah, though the team obviously has been terrible.
Yeah.
Outside of like a few players, it's just been a nightmare, and we are at the point now where it's probably better that they sell. And I guess I'll let you and Brandon go off on any sort of rant, and then we'll start right away with what I want to talk about. So,
Yeah, I think a retool, like a competitive rebuild, is probably what's needed here. I don't think you go full blow up because I like the core of this team still, but I think it's probably for the best interest to trade away Varlamov, possibly Brock Nelson, Anders Lee, Anthony Beauvillier, if people will take him, Scott Mayfield, stuff like that. I don't really see a lot of success coming from the team that they have in place right now, especially learning a new system and trying to have Lane kind of like gel with these players and have them learn his system on the fly. It's just not going to work. We can see that they're not fast enough to run his offense. They're not responsible enough to come back and actually play defense. And they're just not talented enough to run the system that he wants to run. So it's just not going to work.
The core is old. The forward core is old. You have to do away with a bunch of them. I don't think you're gonna be able to trade Lee. He's got a full no trade, so he ain't going anywhere for at least one more season after this. Bailey could go if there's a deal or buyout opportunity.
You're not going to buyout opportunity. Maybe you're not going to be able to trade Bailey.
Beauvillier, he can go if there's a deal. Aho and Mayfield, they can go if there's a deal.
you guys are jumping the gun. This was literally the game I had planned for us, and you guys are already doing it. So let's just before we keep going on this rant, let's talk about our feelings on Lane Lambert. We'll start off with him. Ready?
Okay.
Just simply tell me in a few short sentences why he either deserves another chance next year or if you would cut him and go with a different option. And if you have anyone in mind, you can say so. My opinion is he'll get another go, and they'll give him a different team next year. Well, even if it's just 2 to 3 players, he'll get a different outlook and probably some depth. I can imagine they're going to try something different next year. No Sashnikov Bellows nonsense.
I don't think he was put in the best position this year to succeed, given the makeup of this forward core. I mean, Mike, you and I already spoke yesterday. There's probably 3 competent skating forwards on this team: Barzal, Beauvillier, and Pajot.
Yeah,
Even Parise has lost depth and speed.
Yeah, and it's funny because Pajot and Bo have both hit walls this year in scoring. Even though Pajot's been very good, he still has been on some scoring droughts, and it hurts the team.
Yeah, but if you don't have enough speed in your forward core, then that puts more pressure on your defense. And everyone has been getting killed in defense. Everyone. The P&P, Romanov, Dobson, Aho and Mayfield, Waterspoon, Sallow, and Putrid. Without competent skating from your forward group, or skill for that matter, your defense has to overcompensate, and that's what you're seeing.
Well, not even just that. They run a system where the forwards are expected to play a more responsible role on defense, like be more active participants in the back check, because they want the defense to come up further down the ice. They want the defensemen to jump into the rush and be part of the offense. And what that means is they're going to be caught flat-footed often because they're just not prepared for when the puck gets turned over and the guys come back up the other end of the ice. So what that means is either you have to be very fast, which not a lot of the Islanders skaters are, or you need to be back on your heels a little bit more, which they're just not doing in this system.
Well, I am excited to see Romanov and Dobson if both are. I think both are going to still be here next year, but I'm excited to see them with a year under their belt with each other. Even if they weren't together the whole year, experience is something that someone like Adam Pelech really needed. He wasn't good right away. If anything, he was putrid. And it really only took him, maybe a few weeks into that next year where he really found his game. And you might see that with someone like Romanov. And Dobson as well.
To his credit, I think Romanov can skate. Romanov is one of the faster defensemen that we have.
You also, if you're being fair this year, you also need to understand he's played the most minutes for the Islanders on defense. Next year, he should not be responsible for that much ice time.
Well,
that should help him out.
That's what we said going into this season. But obviously,
then we got injuries. Yeah. I don't expect them to get injured again next year. I mean, that would be some weird bad luck for the Islanders to have 3 straight years of losing a top defenseman. That's not common at all. So if that doesn't happen, I would love to see Romanov in a second line role. What's up?
Is it time to be concerned about Pelech being injury prone?
I mean, the dude got it. That was a freak injury, though, that he got against the Blues. I wouldn't
say either player is injury prone. They've had pretty healthy careers. If it happens again, I guess you would have a point. But I don't. Like I said, I think it would be way more common for them to just come back and that D pair is going to get a whole year together. So we're going to finally get a season like they were honestly not doing great, but they were 16-11 before we lost Pelech.
They were passable when they had both defensemen out there. It's just
you could argue they were learning the new system.
Both defensemen out there for very often the last 3 years.
But you could also argue in the beginning they were still learning the system. So who knows what this team's record might be right now if they were both still healthy for the whole year. But that being said,
Sure.
this is still best case scenario in my opinion, because
Yeah.
the way the team was trending in the new system, I don't think they're built well enough to compete in the playoffs. And you know what? I made those arguments during Trot's years, and you have to admit they definitely overperformed. And that's not a bad thing. That's always exciting. But the
Yeah.
team always needed more. And they're giving themselves opportunity right now to do an accelerated proper retool and get the team way faster. And they're gonna, I sometimes I don't give the Islanders enough credit. They have a good decor. And now we have to see what they do with Mayfield. And I do think they should trade him, but replacing him shouldn't be too hard if you just are looking for a third pairing defenseman. But I'm excited to see them get faster. Aho has gotten better. Salo may get better. They look like Wotherspoon could be another option. I really liked how Bolduc looked the other night. I'm not concerned.
I'm a fan of Parker Wotherspoon.
I'm not concerned.
Very poised.
I'm not concerned with our defense at all. I think this has been a freak year, and I think they'll come back like they did in those Trotz years and at least be average down the lineup, and then our top pairing should be good or great.
Well, I think the problem,
and they'll have Sorokin next year, so
the system that they employ, they need the forwards to be more active on defense
till the trade deadline.
Yes.
No, I'm just no. I didn't want to bring that up, but I will. Before we go over the players, just quickly, me and Brandon, I've been taking a lot of heat. I got 2 or 3 comments directed at me calling me an idiot or something, of which I'm used to. But I said, I don't really want to pay Ilya Sorokin $9 to $10 million. If the team, has to completely
Not even
rely
8.
on.
Oh, no.
Not even 8.
I said to John, I said,
crazy.
listen, Brandon, I'm willing to give the guy 8 years. I don't care about the years. It's the salary, because if you give him $7.5 million for 8 years, 4 years from now, let's just say, Brandon, he's still good. That's going to be a good goalie contract. That's going to be probably middle of the league.
I'm kind of the reverse on this.
Most of those contracts, though, are never good, though. That's the problem.
I understand that, but we're hoping. The only reason I'm giving an 8-year, $7.5 to $8 million as passable is because Ilya Sorokin looks like a top 5 goalie. Now, if he was a Bobrovsky where he won the Vezina, but his numbers were inconsistent through his career, I might go, no, thank you. But Sorokin, since he came over, has been great. You have to admit, there really hasn't been a time where he's been horrible. He has a few stinkers here and there, but that's every goalie.
Last night.
Yes.
If you think that for the next 5 years he's going to be elite, I have no problem giving him 5, not 5 by 9 or something like that.
I can't. I would rather keep the cap down.
I would rather not go to 8.
I don't. But why? Because by the time you're in those 5 to 8 range, you're going to be rebuilding anyway, probably. So what's the point?
Well, let me ask you this.
They might be rebuilding after year 3.
Let me ask you this:
keep the cap down. What
do we think Vitek Vanacek is a great goaltender?
No.
Or is it because he has good statistics because of a great decor around him?
So you're saying you think that Sorokin is a good goaltender because of
No. I'm saying how you should build a cup contender. Make your defense core and your competent forward play. Have them make your goaltender look good.
I am wildly optimistic, but I don't think the Islanders' decor is anywhere near as bad as how they played this year at all. I think learning a new system on top of injuries, on top of the forwards, we really need to retool more on offense than defense. We need more responsible, faster, younger forwards. We can't have Josh Bailey's or Anders Lee's or Brock Nelson's all in the lineup at the same time. They need to make a splash, and it's a controversial take. But like me and Brandon said, if you want to move a Brock Nelson at his peak, you could get a superstar stud prospect probably in return. And I say prospect with quotation marks because he might be like a Marco Rossi, might be in the NHL next year. You know what I mean? So he he will be. So that is the type of player you look at on a quick retool where you're looking at a faster team that can help the defense out more. I love Brock. I think he's peaking. I think this is the best he'll be in his career, and his defense has suffered mightily because of it. all
I
that offense.
think you have a good point there. I would.
But
I
a
would.
lot of people are going to be mad for me saying that. I mean, if anyone listens to this, they're going to be like, "What the hell is he talking about?" But I just feel like there's too many slow forwards on this team, and if the offense gets faster, you will see the defense reap the rewards. As long as we can at least stay healthy on the top pair. I mean, that's the pair we need to be healthy.
Well, I think what you want to do ideally is, if you're going to trade Brock Nelson, I think you need to get younger at the forward on your forward core. I would want to trade him for, say, draft picks and prospects. And I would want to start over from there and get guys that are actually fast that can play in this system. Because I don't think Brock's going to be that guy in a few years.
It's interesting, like I said, because you have Atu Ratu now. You have Marco Rossi. I'm not saying Ratu's a burner, but I mean, he's going to get better, and he's someone you could flip on the third and fourth line. And I don't know. Having this many options, if you can just get faster all around, I think the team is going to reap the rewards. And I think people are going to be like, yeah, maybe the defense was good. The offense was really just letting them down. Because the Leafs game is the only game I can remember for this whole year where we gave up breakaways like that. But those were not how the goals were going in.
I've seen odd man rushes not breakaways.
Well, I said breakaways.
Odd man rushes pretty consistently.
Not like that, though. Absolutely
yeah, no,
not.
I'd say the Leafs game. The Leafs game was kind of an outlier.
Well, the Leafs game was an outlier because you never see that for any team. Like, I don't see any team ever get that many.
You don't watch the Ducks. That's every game for the Ducks.
But the Ducks are awful.
No, I know, but in Vancouver too.
Don't they have like a negative 80 goal differential?
Yeah, it's 86 or something.
I think they're trending towards getting like less than 40 points to end the season.
I don't know. My point is, I'm much higher on this defense than everyone else, and I don't care for the analytics at all. I think Romanov is being put in a spot where he's 22 years old playing top line minutes. I don't think it's fair for him. If anything, that it'll benefit him in the long run, because when he's playing, 5 to 6 minutes less a game, he's going to be better. You know what I mean? He's learning through all this. And maybe, and that's what we saw from Adam Pelech. When they rushed him into those big minutes, he got killed. But all of a sudden, when a year or two later, when he really, started fitting into his body, like a lot of defensemen, sometimes takes them a little bit longer, he looked great. So that's what I'm hoping with Romanov. If he can be even 3/4 of a Devon Toews, defensively, I'm not even talking offense, just defensively, we're set. Defensively.
I'm hopeful, but I also think Adam Pelech is an outlier. Like, Adam Pelech is,
of course,
he's the defensive version of Tage Thompson. You can't expect a player.
But we don't need Romanov to be that good. He needs to be a solid second pairing defenseman, and that's not a lot to ask out of someone. No, I don't think so yet. But we've also only seen him this year in first pairing minutes for the majority of the season because of the injuries.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even without the injuries, I don't know if Lane was just relying on him a lot, but I'd like to see him next year in a comfortable second line role. So, all right, I'll stop talking about Romanov and my crush on him. I also hope Dobson gets better next year. But so the first game is I'm going to go through every player, and you guys are going to quickly say keep or trade. And it doesn't matter who it is. The only thing I'm suggesting, though, is you're only looking towards next year. So, for instance, Brandon, Sorokin would never be a trade because we still have him under contract until next year. And you and I both know they wouldn't trade him right now anyway. That would be very silly. Like, we got to figure out where we are as a team.
So you're talking about pending UFAs.
No, just players in general at the deadline. If you think there's a player we could move, that would be a huge Lou shakeup. Because from what I watched on the Steve Dangle podcast, he said, that's going to be one of the other games I do. We're going to go through Lou's moves as with the Leafs. And I think that'd be a fun way to look at what he did when the team was trending down. And just his moves in general, so we can get an idea of what we might be looking forward to. But I just completely went off track. It doesn't matter how, what the situation is with the player. There is no player on our team with a no movement clause. Anyone can be moved. Are you keeping? Are you trying to trade them, and why? Very quickly. and we're starting off with Brock Nelson, John.
Trade. I think that
Quick
he, like
sentences,
you
yep.
said before, is reaching his peak. I think he's going to be a valuable forward for a team for several years right now. He would do really well on a team like Minnesota, I think.
There's a
But
few teams, yep.
yeah, but I think in terms of the New York Islanders, uh, he's not what they need right now. He's a little too slow. He doesn't really skate as well. He shoots the puck really well,
He's their
but
best
I
shooter,
don't think he plays, yes, but I don't think he plays great defense. And for that reason, if they're rebuilding, I think he's just going to get worse as time goes by. So I
Exactly.
would trade him to see if you could, because he, to me, represents one of the most valuable trade assets you have.
And you also understand he is a declining asset. He's not exactly 25 years old or 26. And I just want to point this out by saying if the roles were reversed with Barzal and Nelson, I probably if Barzal was 31 years old right now, I may have the same thoughts I have about Nelson with him. I might have said, you know what, guys, he's really, he's starting to slow down. He's 31. He has a ton of value. Let's see if we can get younger. Now, obviously,
if Barzal and Nelson were switched, I think I would be even more inclined to trade him because Barzal plays a kind of game where it's much more predicated on your body being able to handle that physical toll of being that fast and keeping the edge work up and being able to skate. And that, to me, is going to decline a lot sharper than, say, this guy has a good shot.
I got you. Okay. No, I don't think Barzal was the best example because he's so fast.
No, I think it's a great example.
He is so fast, though, that he might be a player that somehow ends up being good until he's 35. Because just players that can skate like that are so rare, you usually never find them. You go through whole drafts and never end up with a player who can skate like Barzal. They're rare.
But those guys,
Dylan Larkins, McDavid's, those are the guys super hard to find. If everyone knew, and also high skill, obviously, combined with that,
they
not
also
just super
decline
fast.
rapidly, though. Look at Patrick Kane.
I think the guys in today's NHL that decline rapidly are the ones who are not good skaters.
Yep.
The only exceptions to that rule, John, are the players who are like 6'7" and 280 pounds that were always elite, like a Blake Wheeler somehow stays good. A Milan Lucic, although declining rapidly, stayed in the league because he's gigantic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But most players who lose their, I have a different opinion, but that's okay. So we're both, me, you, Brandon, are all in the boat. If you can get a young center to replace Nelson, a high-end young center. I'm not talking some regular forward. I'm talking about someone who could be a top 6 center right away. Marco Rossi type. That's the move you're making. Yeah, I don't know if Newhook has the same ceiling as someone like a Rossi, but I agree with you. If they're willing to do, Brandon, like Newhook and a high-end prospect, that's hard to pass up.
That's a lot. I don't think a team would be willing to do that, to be honest.
Brock Nelson is an elite center. I mean, he really is a high-end second-line center. At worst, like a late first because of his goal scoring.
They got to replace Kadri.
Yeah. And
what you got next?
So is Barzal, and we don't really have to spend time on this because they just signed him for 8 years. They're not going to try and trade him. That would be stupid.
He's younger. You have to keep him.
But even still, they just signed him for 8 years. There's no way they're going to try and trade him after doing that.
No.
Okay, next is Anders Lee, which this is going to surprise you guys, but mine is keep because I don't think a team would be willing to take him.
I say you keep him because he say what you will. He's still going to score 30 goals this year somehow.
Well, that too. He's worth more here than he would be somewhere else for a 7th round pick.
He's somehow going to reach 30 goals this year, and he'll probably reach 30 goals next year too.
But the contract is the only reason he's virtually unmovable, is because he's still got 4 years left at $7 million, I believe.
No, 3.
Even still, though, I mean, he's not the kind of caliber of a Brock Nelson, in my opinion. They score similarly, but his shot is not nowhere near what Brock's is.
I would trade. I would pay off his salary. The team can take the cap hit. A rebuilding team, someone like, say, Coyotes, they can take his cap hit on because they don't care because they're well under the cap already. You pay off his contract, they get a 30 goal scorer, and you can get a prospect out of it.
Why would Lee wait to go there?
We're assuming in this that he doesn't have a no trade clause.
Yeah, no, Brandon, I think we're assuming in this that, well, not even that he doesn't have a no trade, that he'd be willing to go anywhere. That's fine. If you have the opinion that you think you could get something, my opinion, even a team like Arizona wouldn't be happy with the cap. I think it's a lot of money on an aged player, and I think they're, although it makes sense in terms of competing, I think they'd want to put that money elsewhere. Otherwise, Arizona would be buying everyone's stuff. I don't think the Islanders would get anything back, and I think Lee is worth more here than he is there. I don't think you'd get a high-end prospect for him. Because I think a team is doing you a favor, John, no matter how you look at it with the contract.
Yes and no, because there are certain teams that physically do not, like their owners do not want to spend money. So they will be deliberately well under the cap and trying to ice a team that's competitive without having to spend money is difficult. If you can tell a team, hey, I'm going to give you a 30 goal scorer, you don't have to pay them anything. To the owner, that's incredibly to some owners, that's incredibly valuable.
Right. I'll end with this. If they were to be able to move Anders Lee, guys, would you keep Brock then?
No.
If they were able to move Anders Lee, I would keep Brock.
Okay, so you guys feel differently on that, but that's okay. Honestly, I would keep Brock if they move Lee, because that's the big cap off your list, and you still get to keep your great second line center. There's no harm in that. Next is Noah Dobson.
More valuable than Lee, so I would want to keep him. But yeah,
Noah Dobson. I will start by saying I think it's easier that I always start to get the ball rolling. I'm like 95% keep, but if someone offered you a top line forward for him, that is where I would have to let him go, because the Islanders desperately so need that. And you could say that about a few young players, but Noah Dobson probably has the highest value out of players near that age. The thing is, I do think the Islanders are going to keep him no matter what, because he plays a big role here, and it's hard to find top 4 right Ds. So,
if a top line forward is available, and it would take Noah Dobson to package to get the top line forward, I would move him without hesitation.
Yeah,
because the team hasn't had a consistent top line forward since Palffy.
Yeah,
but top line winger.
But I think we can all agree, right? It's normally a keep unless you're getting something huge.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I don't think
Dobson's very valuable.
Realistically, I don't think he's going anywhere.
But yeah. All right, let's keep it moving. JG Pageau is, I had said before move, but that was the crazy Miller Horvat thing that I came up with. That still would be interesting, but I think JG Pageau is a must keep. Unless you're getting, once again, some stupid package, but I'll ignore that and just say keep. I think it's easier.
I mean, he could still skate, so
and he's
in the lineup.
Not only that, he plays defense really well, and the Islanders severely lack that. They cannot be pushing the good defensive players off the team, in my opinion. They should be trying.
And he's still phenomenal on the dot. I would not move that.
Yeah, I think every Islander fan would agree with you. He's just not someone you can move. There's a lot of other players before him that would be way better to move.
I would keep him unless the plan is to put Aatu Ratu in his spot.
Yeah, but I agree with you, but I feel like Ratu's probably I like Ratu being versatile, where you can have Pageau and flip Ratu wherever you want. So even if you had Pageau on the 4th line, I know that sounds crazy, but the Islanders have always rolled 4 lines. You know what I mean? So if that's the strategy they want to use, being able to use Ratu throughout the lineup is fine. I wouldn't worry about Pageau and his spot being taken.
That's fair, but Pageau makes too much money to be a 4th line center.
No, I agree with you.
I understand the idea in principle, but if you're going to be paying Aatu Ratu $2, $3, $4 million, that's not going to make a lot of sense to have Pajot as somebody who's getting fourth line minutes getting paid $5 million.
I would love to see where Ratu ends up towards the end of the year, because let's just say they were to move Nelson and get a young center. You imagine your third and fourth line centers being a Ratu and Rossi, as Brandon said, and then you're like, why are they playing those spots? Because you have your two reliable centers up top, and then you can swing and kill another team with these fast forwards on the bottom two lines. So my opinion.
I like that idea.
Let's also keep in mind Pajot has 3 more years after this. So let's say they don't play Ratu for another NHL game, right? When Ratu is due for his next contract, Pajot's deal will be over. So it's not really so if Pajot is on the fourth line during Ratu's ELC, it's not a big deal.
But that's true, but I do think they're burning his ELC this year.
More importantly, Brandon.
Okay, let's say they burn it. Let's say down the road you bridge Ratu, because you're not going to give him a long-term deal right away, obviously, unless he just goes all superstar on us right away. You'll probably give him a 3-year bridge of 2.5 to 3.5 to start with. So that, and Pajot would have 1 year left in this case of $5 million.
But let's say you're looking for the Islanders to become way more defensively responsible than they were this year. They end up moving Nelson. That really hurts. But you get that Rossi in return, Brandon. Now you're running Barzal, Pajot, Rossi, Ratu, and that's fun. I mean, that is, and then Zizekas on wing. You have a lot of versatility there and young speed. I mean, obviously, Ratu's not a burner, but if he can be defensively responsible, like I have seen when he does get the chance, obviously he's getting killed with his line mates, but that would not happen next year. You wouldn't see Ross and Martin with him. Hell no. But to me, it's exciting. The team would be young. It would be responsible. They'd be much more defensively focused on keeping the puck out of their zone on offense.
You can never have enough centers in the lineup. You can never have enough centers.
I'm fine. I'm fine with Zizekas on wing. That's no problem.
The 2014-15 Islanders, if I'm not mistaken, have had 5 centers in their top 9. Strome, Tavares, Nelson, Lee technically, and Franz Nielsen.
Honestly, Brandon,
Lee did play center before coming here.
I think the future of the NHL, every forward is going to be responsible at knowing how to play center. I think that's going to no longer be.
I don't think you can do that.
To an extent, yeah. There's going to be.
What I mean, John, is there's never going to be a player. It's going to be rare. Let's say it's going to be rare. It's only going to be select superstars that don't have a knack for playing center.
But that's what I mean, though. I don't think.
I mean, the Islanders already do it. You can see half these guys playing center that you think are wings.
No, I can see them playing center if they're forced to. But I can't see a lot of these guys learning how to control the middle of the ice in the way that you need to be a center.
Interesting. I just think it's going to be
different. They're two very different positions.
John, we've been seeing it more and more nowadays. You have to agree, though, that these guys are very versatile that get drafted. You're like, oh, they're a winger, but they can play center. You know, and it's all throughout the first and second round, and it's interesting to me. I think the game is evolving in that way. And that, I mean, look what they did with Mitch Marner. They put him on defense. Just saying, like,
that's what I was talking about like weeks ago when I said that Noah Dobson should be a forward.
Aho
as well. He's faster. Yeah, he has forward instincts.
All right, so the next name, guys, is a pretty easy one. We don't have to spend too much time on it. It is Zach Parise, and I think we can all agree that he deserves to get a chance to win a cup. They definitely deserve. He deserves to get sent to a contender, and I would be shocked if a team wouldn't be looking to use him as a solid third-line option and probably pay us a second-round pick.
Here's the weird thing about that. I agree that should happen. What if he doesn't want to go?
Well, then I honestly,
you can't move him especially when he came to the team on a league min deal.
I,
It looks really bad on the organization if they do that.
yeah, exactly. Your argument.
From a PR perspective,
I mean, I agree with you, but they could do it regardless.
they could.
It won't look good.
They could go all mercenary and do it
Brandon,
if they want. But
I think there's a very, 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 very slim chance that Parise would really not want to go for it this year. I think he gave it a second go with the Islanders, and he might. I don't know why he wouldn't be like, "This is probably my last chance. Lou, let me go for it." If he's really against that, that's so odd because it's not the way he plays the game. You know what I mean? He's not a lazy player. He's the hardest working player on the team. You think he wants to win, right?
no, I agree.
That would be very odd, Brandon. Listen, if he doesn't want to go anywhere, we don't move him. That's the end.
The only thing I can think of is if he goes to Lou and he says, like, this is my last season. I only have X amount of games left. I do not want to move again and leave my family for X amount of time. I would prefer to stay here so I could be with them.
And then you have to honor his wishes. But I do think Lou needs to be cerebral this year. If he doesn't want to have a billboard, he's got to do stuff that's not going to look good. He has to be.
I think that Parise
he has to be
not say, "Oh, I didn't want to go."
Lou is well known as very respectful to the players. I think he's a lot like Paul Heyman, and Brandon Gaines will get that reference. Is he'll lie to them, but he'll do them right at the same time for the most part. You know, the only difference is Lou signs those checks when Paul didn't. But in that type of way, Brandon is like, I think it's almost backwards. Like, I think it was Paul wouldn't lie to the fans, but he'd lie to the wrestlers, but he'd always do right by the fans or something like that. I think that was the Paul Heyman way. And it's almost the opposite with Lou, where he'll lie to us, but he'll do right by the players. That's just
Tommy Dreamer hated Heyman back in ECW.
A lot of people did. He was a businessman.
He wasn't paying them.
He was paying some of them. Taz got paid, of course.
He wasn't paying them because they didn't have proper distribution.
Yeah.
As a result, he couldn't make his money to pay them. So that's why ECW went down the...
very quickly, have you guys seen the Rise and Fall of ECW DVD?
Of course I have.
I bought it at a WWE event, and it was probably the best DVD I've ever bought. And especially the second CD had about 10 matches on it, and they were so good. The Rey Mysterio Psychosis stuff, you can find it on YouTube probably, is some of the best wrestling you could ever see. I mean, they were fresh off the boat. I mean, they were brand new to the States. No one had seen them, and it's like, holy heck. Like, they were really trying to prove themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. We can get back to hockey now. We'll talk about that another time. Anthony Beauvillier. I'm going in order of points, by the way, this year. And listen, I think it depends what you're getting. This is for me 100% trade if you're getting a third round pick or higher. But if you're getting anything lower than that, I'd probably just stick with him because I don't want the team to get slower. The team needs to stay fast, and he's one of, like Brandon said, 3 forwards who can skate. But, Brandon, if someone's willing to throw us a third or second round pick, probably going to take the pick and see what I can do with my assets.
Yeah.
I think that's – let me know if you guys feel any – yeah.
Gives you space, too.
Let me know what you think.
He's a player I would trade, understanding that no matter what I do, I would probably lose that deal. Because
he needs to change the scenery.
Yes. I think he is the kind of player who, if he goes to a place where he's more comfortable and he feels more confident, he's going to start playing much better, and that deal is going to look fantastic. But it's not going to happen here. So he needs to go. He needs to be traded, and they need to kind of just recoup whatever losses they can out of it.
They need to stay. They need to stop giving Islander players the number 18. It happened with Strome, and now it's fucking happened with Beauvillier. They need to stop.
My thing is, though, John, I never like to sell low. I would rather sell Bo if he comes off next year like a bat out of hell and the Islanders miss the playoffs, he's your number one trade target, at the deadline.
Don't think that's happening though. I have
That's
zero
fine.
confidence
That's
in that.
fine. But as someone who has seen the Islanders get burned many, many times in the past, you never trade at a low point. You're always trying to trade at least at fair value. And Beauvillier is not at fair market value right now. Nowhere
But that's
near
the
it.
thing. To me, Beauvillier is the rare player where you're never going to get fair market value. So you need to trade him for what you can. And I feel like this is the point where if you don't trade him, you're not going to get anything.
I would also, with his speed, I think he has another 4 or 5 more years of being a solid third line forward. Now,
Which is why I think you can get something nice now.
Got you. Okay. Well, I don't know. I feel differently than other people. If you're only offering me a 4th or worse, I'd rather just keep him and make the team faster. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if he has 2 or 3 more speedsters on the team, all of a sudden he starts looking good again. Because I was told, and I said this to one of you before, that he was the problem as to why the second line was bad defensively and struggling. And he got moved off that line, and they're still bad defensively and struggling. So, obviously Nelson had a goal or two, but for the most part, the Leafs game, they were good. But for the most part, they haven't been impressing me at all, even without Bo. So next is...
Wait, question.
Can you guess
before we move on. Question.
Yeah.
If Yzerman offers you Jacob Vrana and a 4th for Bo, do you do it?
No.
I think the problem with Vrana is we don't know what the hell is wrong. I don't think Yzerman is stupid.
He would be.
He's made some pretty projects the past 2 years.
I agree with you, Brandon, but I don't think this is like one of those. Vrana just was dozing off. Like something happened.
Like the Sherratt deal, the trade and the contract looked pretty bad.
I just have
the initial Eddie trade was pretty bad.
A lot of people wanted Vrana right away, John. I was skeptical, but I also was like, maybe we should just throw a late round pick and see if they do that deal. But something's clearly very wrong. And I don't want to dive into that situation until I know more. Because with me not knowing what the hell is wrong, it's not worth even thinking about.
I agree, but I also think that it's a gamble that could pay off.
Yes, but if he's like low key doing like heroin or something, I don't know if I want him on the Islanders.
I don't think he's doing that though. Just because he's playing in the AHL,
we don't know. We don't know what's going on.
I think what's alarming, John. He's not
going through withdrawals or something, maybe?
He's not performing on the AHL team, which is making me really concerned. Well, someone like that should be killing the AHL. Destroying it.
But this is why I believe that the gamble could pay off. Because if
I just need to know more. I can't give you a fair opinion without knowing what is wrong.
If we take the Jacob Vrana timeline and assume that he was doing drugs and so he was put into the substance abuse program and he got out of it, meaning that we're assuming that he's clean and sober at this point in time, he is most likely going through withdrawals. And when you go through withdrawals, especially if you're going through withdrawals on a very serious drug, your body is going through hell. You feel like shit and you can't perform, which makes sense as to why he can't do anything right now.
My point is, John, is that he's so good that for every team to pass on the opportunity to pick him up, it must be very severe. This is
I think they're all afraid that he's going to relapse.
I love Mike Riley, but even Mike Riley is probably a quarter of the player that Jacob Vrana was.
Which is why I agree completely, which is why I would take the gamble. But that's... I still
can't believe teams passed on Riley twice.
Next is Josh Bailey, which we don't even let's not talk about it. No, but the problem is, Brandon, you can't move him. Yeah, he's unmovable, so you don't really have a choice. All right, whatever. But that's not it was trade or keep, and we don't have a choice, I think, in either of that. So Next is Oliver Wahlstrom, which, again, we probably don't have to spend too much time on here because I think when you have an injury like that, he's not really going to be worth anything. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like a team wouldn't be too interested in the type of package he could have gotten if he was healthy. I feel like a team would be more concerned with jumping into that. So, I mean, unless you guys have anything else to add, we'll keep moving.
Mike, you and I spoke about making a potential lateral move to get Ryan Merkley from the Sharks.
But I just, with the injury now, I'm pretty sure the Sharks would rather not do that.
But they're not going to. But the thing is, though, the Sharks aren't playing Ryan Merkley. So what would you rather have? Someone who's giving you some NHL time right now, or not?
You never want to trade a player when they're injured because their perceived value is at their lowest.
Yeah, that as well with Wahlstrom. I'd rather wait and see, Brandon, what we have before jumping on Ryan Merkley, who can't make a Sharks team. This isn't Marco Rossi not making the Minnesota Wild. This is Ryan Merkley not being able to make the San Jose Sharks.
No, it's not. Well, no, he and David Quinn don't really get along either, from what I've read.
I'm sure there are problems, Brendan, but if he was as
David Quinn, we've seen what David Quinn's done to certain Rangers prospects too.
If Ryan Merkley was as valuable and as good as what people say,
how good those prospects were.
Brandon, if he was as good and as valuable as people say, I wouldn't be reading team prospect reports where he's not in the top 3. That's my opinion. I do think it'd be an interesting gamble for a team, but I probably would be paying the Sharks something like a 4th, not Wahlstrom. And maybe they take it, since they're not using them anyway. Next is
Brandon, that the Rangers can't develop prospects, but they also can't pick them.
Next, we don't have to go through all these names because there are certain names that I don't think are that important. But next is Ryan Pulock, who I'm just going to say keep. Yeah, he's your top right D. I don't think it's worth it to even talk about moving him. Plus, I don't think anyone would take that unless you gave them a pretty good deal.
He's also relatively young.
He's got a long contract. I wouldn't say relatively young. He's 29. He's like Sorokin.
He's 29?
Yeah. Oh, he's 28.
Okay, that's not terrible.
And Sorokin's 27, but by the time his contract's up, he's going to be 28, 29. Next is Alexander Romanov, which I think we can all agree you kind of have to keep that. I mean, you just traded a first for him. Even if it doesn't work out, it would be really hilarious if they just traded him again.
No, I don't think they're doing that right now.
I don't think Lou would admit he failed like that. So I have faith in him, obviously, a little bit with the jersey. So we'll see. Next is Matt Martin, which I think is honestly a keep, but only because I don't think any team would be interested in him. But no, you guys can
keep him. It's only $1.5 million. It's not a backbreaker.
Nah, and I don't think any team would actually give you anything for him. Maybe some team would take him for free, but
I think you can get a 4th from someone.
Oh, I think that's really high. I don't know. He's just very old.
Look at what Minnesota gave to get Ryan Reeves.
But that's
Reeves
what I mean.
But Ryan Reeves is younger.
If you're assuming that, I think somebody will give up a 4th for physicality.
I think it's very high. All right. Next is Casey Cizikas, which for me is obviously a keep.
Keep.
Yeah. It's always good to have
Casey
centers.
a lot, but I think if you're looking at the external 4th line guys, he is the best value. So I am in the camp of if you can get a 3rd round pick for him, I would trade him.
Gotcha. I just don't. Once again, it's another player that would be more valuable here than trading to another team because I don't think a team would give you much, if anything at all. They might give you a swap of a low-end prospect or something just for his services. I just think with the age, John, and the contract that is attached to them, they're not appealing. Now, Martin is a little bit more appealing, but he's still not exactly Vetmin Parise. So next is Scott Mayfield, which it's tough for me because it is 100% trade, but it's like 99.9 because you need to get the right package for him as well, because I don't know what his value is here, but he's still, in my opinion, good enough to potentially be a top 4 defenseman on half the teams entering the playoffs.
And he's making $1 million.
You should be getting a first for him plus, honestly. Look
Yeah.
what Ben Sherratt got. I mean, if Ben Sherratt can get a first, why
I agree.
wouldn't Scott
Unprotected.
Mayfield? He's better. Yeah, unprotected first too.
I agree. Which is why I think you trade him immediately.
Yeah, you get the first, and honestly, they should attach a prospect to it as well because there should be some sort of competition to get him. He's cheap. Even if you were to eat half the salary, he'd be so cheap. He's so cheap. It wouldn't, and a team would be able to make another move after that. So to me, he's probably one of the most valuable players at the deadline. And I don't know why anyone would say otherwise. I mean, he's been a very responsible defenseman throughout his career, and he's really good in the playoffs too. Next is Sebastian Aho, which is definitely, I think that one is a definite keep. You say goodbye. I don't think his value I don't think he's worth anything, Brandon. I think you would probably get offered a 6th or a 7th.
Well, no, it's not. It's mainly to move him out to make room for Bolduc next year.
All right.
That's the mentality. That's the mentality because
I've
you
liked
got
how he's looked this year.
No, sure, but long term, I would rather have Bolduc on the team. And you got to make
good enough to warrant a depth spot. I would keep him as like your 7th D.
Well, we have to see more of Bolduc and also Wotherspoon as well. I think it's good to have defensive competition for that third pairing.
I think depth is good because of injuries, yeah.
And I think having Wotherspoon, Aho, and Bolduc is better than losing one of them. I think that's fine. I don't think that's a bad thing for the Islanders. Do you think Aho would be willing to play in the AHL, Brandon?
No.
You don't think so? Okay.
No, I don't think he has been.
Well,
I don't think he want to go back there though.
I don't think you'd get anything for him, so that's why it's no. But Brandon says if you can get something, maybe to make room. Next is Pellick, which is just a no. We don't even have to talk about that. It's a waste of time.
He's untouchable.
We're untouchable as far as I'm concerned. Next is Kyle Palmieri, which I also think is a keep. And I don't know how Brandon feels about it. I don't know how you feel about it. But when you look at the numbers, he's the highest scoring forward winger that we've had the last few seasons per 60. And to me, he has more value to us than he would to someone else.
I don't think he has value to other teams now.
That's the thing. I think.
Yeah.
Which is funny, though, because he's still kind of a 25-goal guy. And every team is looking for one of those. But his contract is $5 million, so he's not exactly a cheap 25.
He's also a really quiet 25-goal guy.
Well, he's also injured too. You got to worry about the injury problems now.
No, but what I mean is, like, even when he's playing, he'll have a week where he scores 6 goals, and then 2 months where he'll score like 2.
A lot of players are inconsistent. My point is that, like Beauvillier, there's a lot more value here than he'd have somewhere else, in my opinion, for another team. So.
But unlike Beauvillier, I think
actually scores.
Mary actually can reach his potential here, where Beauvillier can't.
All right, Brandon, do you have anything to add to that? Would you trade Palmieri?
I'd keep him and then see if you could sell high the following year, but I'm not moving him now.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the plan into going into next year. So we're all kind of on the keep brigade there.
He's not a bad skater. He's just not good of a skater.
My Islanders thing ended. I'll just restart it. All right. Next is who are we at? So next is Cal Clutterbuck, which I think we can all agree is a keep. No team's going to trade for a guy who's injured 500 times.
Yeah, he should be retiring.
He's 35. Honest. Yeah, this should be his last year or second to last year. I think he should retire this year. It's just not worth it for him.
He keeps getting hurt. He can't stay healthy.
Here's a fun one. Hudson Fasching.
You keep him 100%.
I also think keep only, and the trade part would be fun because imagine a team comes up and says, we've been scouting this guy. He's really good. Here's a 2nd-round pick.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I don't think there's a team in the league that's going to give you a 2nd-round pick for him now.
That's fair.
He's not a known commodity.
I enjoy the keep thing because he's not too old. He would be probably near vet minimum, and he has the potential to be like a 20 goal guy.
But
I mean,
that's the thing. If you're a rebuilding team, you're going to give him an opportunity, and
well,
it just makes a
retool.
lot of sense
I
to see.
don't
where
like the
he's gonna
word
get,
rebuilding
where he
because
can get.
you're retooling unless you're talking about other teams. We're retooling. We're not rebuilding.
No, I understand, but if you're if you're a team in transition, he's going to get more opportunities.
Yeah.
It makes more sense to keep him to see what you have instead of giving him up where teams just don't know yet, so they're not going to give you what you want.
5 points in 19 games, barely playing third line minutes. I'd say that's pretty, respectable. He looks like a 20 to 25 point guy minimum, which is better than you can say about some other guys this year.
Yeah, but I think that's like a 5th round pick in the league.
Gotcha. Okay. Next is Robin Salo, which I don't think he has any value, so we can probably skip over that one. He probably has more value here than he would elsewhere, type of thing, like usual. Simon Holmstrom is a keep. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to trade him now. He's the type of guy you're expecting to throw into the bottom 6 next year and be responsible.
Yeah, I'd say so. He's a perfect third liner.
Next is Ratu, which is also, in my opinion, guaranteed keep. You're not buying anyone this year, in my opinion. I think it would be ridiculous to do so. It just doesn't make sense unless, so let's ignore a Timo Meyer type of move and let's just say keep. Yeah, next is Ross Johnston, which instead of keep or trade, I'll give you the option to waive.
Yeah, I mean that option should have been an option years ago.
And then as we go down through the list, there's some guys who are not on the team anymore, and guys like Wotherspoon, who I don't think are like, I don't think you would trade him. It just doesn't make sense. You'd rather have someone like that for depth. He's shown he could potentially be a third pairing defenseman in the NHL, so I don't know why you'd want to move someone who will be literally super cheap. But last but not least, you have Sorokin, who we can all agree is a keep for this year and the beginning of next year. You're not going to, if something crazy is going to happen, it's not going to be now. Wouldn't make sense.
There are way too many external factors with him for me to actually give like a keep or a trade answer, to be completely honest. A lot of it has to do with the contract structure that he's looking for, what the team looks like next year.
And what he actually wants, because he could easily be like, hey guys, I'm going to UFA because some team's going to give me $12 million. See you later. And I wouldn't blame him. Yeah. I wouldn't blame him. And to be honest, it'd be really hard to be mad at him. I don't think he could be.
If he's up front with what he wants, no fan should be mad at him.
No, exactly. That's the key there, John, is he needs to be honest. You also have to remember he took a pretty fair deal after he came here for that 3 year. I think that really helped the Islanders out to compete with what he took, because Varlamov was already $5 million. He could have been like, I want 6. And you would have been like, well, we don't have a choice. Instead, he took 4, and I think that was very fair.
Sure.
And last but not least, you have Semyon Varlamov, who I think we all can agree you have to trade him. I mean, it would be a travesty to hold on to a guy who probably has a year or 2 left. Just doesn't make sense.
I think you can actually get a lot for him.
And I think what's really fun with Varlamov is you could say, listen, go finish out the year on a playoff contender and then come back to us and we'll give you a few million. It's an option if he likes it here. You don't have to live there. Go live in a hotel and party it up and go play in the playoffs. Maybe we offer him, I don't know, $3 million. Does that seem high? I don't know. Because that
does seem high for a backup. I'll be honest.
But you have to remember you have Sorokin for another year. So you'd be giving him. You say Varlamov, you're 34, 35. We're giving you a 1-year deal for $3 million, and you still save $2 million more than you had last year.
Yeah.
You got to remember, John, you're going to be paying a backup $2 or $3 million anyway.
Yeah, it's how to mark. That's how to mark.
You're going to have Sorokin under contract for that year, right?
Yep. So it doesn't matter in my opinion. You can afford to maybe $3 million would be a little bit higher than what you'd pay a normal backup. The normal backup would be $2 million type of around there. So, but I would pay for Varlamov again. I think he's been excellent as an Islander.
Yeah.
A lot like what they did with Grice. And eventually they had to let him go, but all right. So now that we did that, I thought, for you guys, we're going to quickly go over together Lou Lamoriello's trade history, which I think is fun. So we get to see how it was with the Leafs before he left and when he started. So immediately he was traded to the Leafs for a third-round pick, Linus Karlsson. I don't understand how that happened. You guys, I don't know if Brandon remembers, but I didn't know you could trade GMs.
Yeah.
What?
I did not remember
that at all.
Why was Lou traded for a third-round pick? I need someone to explain that to me.
That's a thing.
Maybe to speak to him from the Devils. Maybe
because the Leafs acquired Lou and they traded a third-round pick, which ended up being Linus Karlsson. I have no idea who that is.
Oh my god! I did not know that was a thing.
That is very, very weird.
So Lou's first move as GM of the Maple Leafs was a trade with
the Islanders. Oh, was that Matt Martin?
No. The Islanders. The Islanders traded Michael Grabner for Matthew Finn, Christopher Gibson, Tom Nilsson, Taylor Beck, and an NHL stud.
Oh, Carter Verhey.
Yep.
Then
it looks like January 3rd of 2016, the Blackhawks acquired Richard Panik for Jeremy Morin. That looks like one of the smaller moves he did. Nothing really impactful there.
Oh, Panik had a few good seasons in Chicago.
Yeah. I wouldn't say he was anything special, though. Then February 9th, he traded, which was probably one of the biggest trades he did. He traded Dion Phaneuf to the Ottawa Senators, Matt Fratton, Ryan Rupert, Casey Bailey, and Cody Donaghy, all these other guys, for Colin Greenan, Milan Michalek, Jared Cowan, Tobias Lindbergh, and a second-round pick that ended up being Emili Rasanen. Now,
the objective of that was to
get out from Dion Phaneuf. Yeah. It was basically a cap dump of Dion Phaneuf. And I think he did a good job of it because he got 5 pieces, basically. Yeah. A second-round pick for Dion Phaneuf at the time was probably really good. He was struggling. Next, the Leafs acquired Colin Smith and a 4th-round pick, which ended up being really nobody, for Sean Mathias. Another cap dump, Brandon. It was 2.3 mil. I don't even know who Sean Mathias is. Next, he traded more cap moving out here in 2016, which I think this is the time where the transitioning was happening, 2016, with the Leafs. He traded Roman Polak and Nick Spaulding, who added up to almost 5 mil, for Rafi Torres and 2 second-round picks. One ended up being Maxime Comtois, and the other one was Sean Dursey.
Oh wow, those are 2 guys. They never really played for the Leafs, but those are still 2 guys.
I mean, this is Lou Lamoriello at his best. I mean, these are some interesting cap dumps where he got stuff for these guys. I mean, clearly he, like us, like a Mayfield, Dion Phaneuf still had some value. Even with that crazy cap hit, someone still gave him pieces. Next is he traded James Reimer and Jeremy Morin for Ben Smith and Alex Stalock and a 3rd-round pick. So he's gathering all these picks up for this next draft. Then the Leafs acquired Connor Carrick and Brooks Laich and a 2nd-round pick that ended up being Carl Grundstrom. I think he's in the NHL. Daniel Winnick and a 5th-round pick of nobody. Then in the late 2016, he acquired Frederick Anderson for a 1st-round pick that ended up being Sam Steele, a 2nd-round pick that was the Maxime Comtois pick, and Yeah, and there was conditions attached to it. But honestly, Freddie Anderson for $5 million, I think that was a good trade. Maybe you
He
guys
was a
can
really, really good goalie for them until they ran him into the ground.
Exactly. I don't think that was a bad Lou trade, and I wouldn't even say he
Not at all.
lost it because now I don't think Maxime Comtois or Sam Steele yet are great players. Maybe Sam Steele becomes one, but to me they don't look like anything special. That's my opinion.
Maxime Comtois, he's good, but I think he was a player who had a lot more potential coming into his rookie year than he actually showed in the league. Like everyone thought he was going to be a stud, and then he didn't meet those expectations, I would say.
So I'm going to try to keep flying through this for you guys. I know there's just a lot of moves being done, and I'll skip ones that were like over the top. One of them was the Blue Jackets acquired Scott Harrington and a 5th-round pick, and they got Kirby Reichel, which looked to me kind of just like a weird movement trade. Then the Ducks acquired Bernier from the Leafs for a conditional pick.
Yep.
That looks like another good cap dump from Lou. So we know what he's capable of. Then there was he traded Peter Holland for a 6th-round pick. He traded Jonas Enroth for a 7th-round pick. He traded, Sergei Kalinin for Victor Louvre. It was just an AHL move. I'm trying to look at, obviously, he traded for Brian Boyle, which I think was a really good trade at the time. Brian Boyle at the time was only $2 million. And he got it. He got Brian Boyle for a 2nd-round pick and Byron Froese. I don't know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really good trade at the time. Brian Boyle for $2 million seems like a really good deal. I'm going to try and speed through this now, get up to 2017. Okay, so he traded Nikita Stash.
I know there's a bad trade. I know there's a bad trade coming.
Yeah, no, there is, and I'll let you know which one that is. But he traded Nikita Soshnikov for a 4th-round pick.
Okay.
He traded Eric Fair for a 7th-round pick. He traded Kirby Reichel and Valiev and Jacob Olofsson, which was a 2nd-round pick, for Thomas Plekanec and Kyle Baun. Now, the Thomas Plekanec one...
That's not a good one. That was the bad one.
The interesting part for Plekanec is I think he was actually good in the playoffs for the Leafs. I don't know if I'm 100% right on that, but I remember Steve mentioning
he was like Mayfield, where he had a few clutch games.
Then there was the Matt Martin trade, which, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but he wasn't playing in Toronto, so...
No. Yeah. No. Lou was the GM of the Islanders when he made that trade with the Leafs.
Oh, you're right. My fault. So those were his moves as the Leafs GM. You're right. Good catch, Brandon. I went too far.
Mm.
But as you can see, guys, if you ignore kind of the Plekanec trade, Lou had no problem when the Leafs were transitioning in getting guys with cap space, getting value back. And he in 2016 alone, he did like 10 trades at least.
Mm.
And I'm not saying the Leafs and Islanders are in the same spot, but clearly Lou in the past has not been afraid to move some pieces. Even a Dion Phaneuf, who I don't know if there's a comparable on the Islanders per se. In my opinion, it's not as good as a Brock Nelson, Dion Phaneuf. Nowhere near, but also nowhere near as bad as like a Josh Bailey.
No.
So.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so it interests me that if you look at what Lou did when the Leafs were transitioning, even though they got the 1st overall pick, he's not afraid to not force, not force his hand at buying. He's willing to sell if need be.
I was going to say, do you think he would be inclined to sell if he's looking to retire soon?
I think he'll do right by the team over anything else. I don't know if that's me being ignorant, but
especially if his son's taking over.
Well, that's just it.
I don't think
he's retiring, and if he assumes his son is taking over, I don't know if he wants to leave his son with a retool.
I think that would be the best thing possible if they did. I'm hoping it's not. Listen, I'm hoping it's not Chris. I'm hoping they go out and get like a Joe Sakic legendary player to come in and be like, "Here you go, free reign." You know, someone that was a.
Johnny Boychuk.
I don't think that's a bad idea. I got to be
Yeah,
completely
not
honest
the
with
worst
you.
idea.
I'm not saying he's like a Joe Sakic type of caliber player, but he has a wonderful personality, and the Islanders need a young voice in that general
You
manager
could be
spot.
right. You could be right.
I don't think Johnny Boychuk is a far off decision. It might not be the best one,
He
but
worked with Lou for a while, so it's not like completely out of
that
the field.
it would be very interesting to see a Johnny Boychuk as the GM and
Yeah,
have someone like Chris Lamorello as the assistant GM.
I
And
can see that.
eventually
I can see
Chris
that.
would build his actual repertoire, not just some AHL repertoire, where eventually he'll be an NHL GM. But I don't think pushing that right away is the right move. Give it to
Yeah,
someone like Johnny Boychuk that every Islander fan will support religiously.
I could see that.
You will win over the fan base by doing something like that. That's a wonderful player to bring up, but it's if he wants to do it, of course. So I want to finish
He
up the
wants to do it. I'm
podcast.
sure he wants to do it.
I want to finish up the podcast soon, guys. It's been a good one. You know, we
Yeah.
went over what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
We didn't go crazy and go into hysterics about how the team's playing. We looked at the future and what the team could potentially do. We made it
Yes,
optimistic.
this was productive.
I don't think it was a negative. I think we've had enough of the rants, Brandon. We can do more of that off of a podcast. Let's focus on the future and improving the Islanders. That's all that matters. But all of you need to come up with a trivia question now. Let's do it. I will go first, though, while gives you guys time to think of something, and make sure you don't look this up. What player in 2011 did the Islanders trade to the Devils, and who did they get in return?
To the Devils. 2011.
Now, if you get the first player, it might make it easier to get the second one. And then I will start giving hints if you guys guess and can't get it.
I'm stumped.
Richard Park.
I love it. No, but Brandon, if you want to do one guess, I will. I'll throw out the first hint, and I'm going to start with the player the Islanders traded. But if you want to guess a player, Brandon, go ahead.
2011. The Devils were. Right, so who could the Devils have been? Is it what the Devils got from the Islanders, or what the Islanders got from the Devils?
Well, I was looking for both players. You can give me either. That's a trivia question. There's two answers. I think who the Islanders got is actually easier than who we traded.
Okay, I have two ideas who it could possibly be.
Okay, guess one, and then I'll give you the first hint.
All right, I'm thinking Alexei Zhitnik.
Nope. Okay, the first hint for who the Islanders traded is that he never played with the Devils. He played with only two NHL teams, the Islanders and the LA Kings.
Ooh.
Okay, Brandon, your next guess?
And he never played with the Devils.
Yeah, which is so interesting.
Mm.
And you're saying this is 2011.
Yep.
Ryan Rolston?
Yep. That
Really?
is the player. That is the player the Islanders acquired in 2011. Who
He
did
never
they
played for
trade?
the Devils?
Brian Rolston?
Yeah, he
No.
never played for the Devils.
The player the Islanders traded to the Devils never played for the Devils.
Oh.
Oh, that's
And
so
I don't
weird.
know how. I don't
That's
know
so
how.
weird.
Yeah, I know.
That is so weird.
So Brian Rolston was the player we acquired. Can you guess the player we traded? You are allowed to now each give a guess out before I give the next hint.
All right, so the Devils in 2011 were competing, and the Islanders were not.
Kennedy?
No, not Tyler Kennedy. All right, next, Brandon.
No, it's not Tyler Kennedy because we got Tyler Kennedy in 2015 from the Sharks. That was the only rent that him and Neuvert were the only rental moves that Snow made that year. But let me think. 2011 was a total shit show, so we had to have given someone up.
The second hint's going to help a lot.
Go for it.
You don't even want to guess?
I'm going to say Bill Guerin.
No. So
because we traded him to Pittsburgh. Damn it.
Ready? He played with the Islanders from 2001 all the way up until 2011, and he scored 20 goals with them twice. Dead silence. It's not an easy one, honestly, but it's certainly a recognizable Islander. I'll do this for you guys. I'll give you 4 hints. So this is the second hint. I need a guess each from both of you.
Well, it's not Adrian O'Coin because he left in the mid 2000s.
All right, John.
Wait. I didn't guess. I didn't guess yet. You say it's from 2011.
Yeah, and
so
you can't look. No cheating.
I'm not.
Brandon's got his Wikipedia brain open. Don't think.
Like I'm holding the phone while I'm doing this, so that's why you see me.
I know you're going through the pages in your head right now of the rosters.
2001 to 2011, and he was on the Islanders in 2001. He wasn't a prospect or anything.
He might have been. I don't know how old he was. That's not part of the hint. The hint is he was with the team for 10 years.
I know.
So it's crazy that they traded him, to be honest. But he was on the downhill
Trent Hunter?
squad. Yep. God, Brandon got it. So my third hint was gonna be that he's bald.
Yeah, that I would have gotten that
one. Wow. That's the only Islander player who I could have thought of that could have lasted that long. Because I know it wasn't because Kenny Janssen was on the team before 2001.
What's so interesting, guys, in 2003-04, I thought the Islanders had something special with him. He had 51 points in 77 games, including 25 goals. He never lived up to that season again.
So we traded Trent Hunter to the Devils.
And that was right before the lockout, by the way, guys. So that might have messed up his career.
Wow.
He ended up playing over in Sweden the next year. You know what I mean? It hurt every player.
Wow, that is really, really bizarre.
All right, who's doing the next question? We got 2 more to go from you guys. I thought mine was the best because it was a Lou move. That's what makes it so interesting. I should have said it was a Lou move, but yeah, you kind of knew if it's Devils Islanders in 2011.
All right.
All right, let me get Wikipedia open.
This is going to be a trade tree question. I got the perfect one. I think you may remember this, but let's see if you do. So the Islanders have Noah Dobson and Samuel Bolduc and Iskakov as a result of the Travis Hamonic trade tree. Who did we give up to get Travis Hamonic?
Wait, say that again one more time.
Okay, so we gave up Travis Hamonic to get, essentially, with the picks that we got from Calgary, Noah Dobson, Sam Bolduc, and Ruslan Iskakov.
Yeah.
Who did we give up to get the pick that got us Hamonic?
All right. Well, we get one player each, John, and then he'll give us a hint.
Yeah, I'll give you a hint. Yeah.
No. Is it fair to ask? Are you talking about we traded someone with the pick we had to move up?
Okay, so let me rephrase that. What player did we give up? What NHL player did we give up at that trade? A pick could be with him, but what
Okay.
player did we give to get that pick that got us Hamannik?
Hmm.
It's honestly.
Oh, I got you. So you're talking about the original trade that we got for Hamannik, and then got you. Okay, so that was a long
where
time
it
ago.
all started. Yep.
Okay.
It's a pretty long trade too that the Islanders have. You're gonna laugh when you're probably gonna figure out who it is. It's from. Well, guess first. Guess first.
Okay. This goes really far back. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Michael Pekka.
Okay, incorrect. Let's see what John's got.
All right, it was worth a try.
Yep.
I know we traded
Miro
Pekka.
Shatan.
Incorrect.
Wow, okay. I thought we had good guesses though. We're both players on that team. I think they were. Yeah.
Okay.
And we traded both those players, by the way, John, I believe.
We did.
Mhm.
We did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. We did trade both of those players. That is correct.
Not bad guesses.
Um,
I'm upset.
the guy.
I like getting stuff right away.
Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can make another guess. The guy who, man, I feel like if I give this the team he got traded to, I feel it's just gonna give it away. But screw it, I'll do it. The team he got traded to played him in only 13 games.
Hmm.
It's arguably the best trade tree in Islanders history, by the way.
It might be, yeah.
Considering what we got.
13 games. You thought that'd make it easier, but I don't think that helps that much.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you want me to give you? You want me to get? Well, take a guess, and I'll.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably tell you the team.
This is definitely. I don't.
He's not. It's he was a C-level prospect essentially, if that helps.
But you said he was an NHL player.
No, but like he was given spare time in the NHL. He wasn't like an everyday NHL player, but he was traded to this team.
That's not going to help me at all.
I'll tell you the team he got moved to after your guesses.
Is it Andrew McDonald? I feel like he's too
No,
new.
that's
it's way too new.
No, that's
well.
No. The Andrew McDonald trade is what got us the Sorokin pick.
Gotcha. See, I'm going through my mind of trades, but that's too recent. Okay, John.
John's turn.
I messed up.
Bruno Gervais?
All right. The team he got traded to.
The problem is, John, Brandon said he's like a C-level prospect.
Yeah. I can't think of any prospects in that.
So let me count how many games he played. Let's see. 31, 42.
But when you said he only played 13 games,
50,
I immediately
he played only 55 NHL games in his entire career. The team he got traded to from the Islanders was to the Edmonton Oilers, if that helps. And they gave us the pick that got us Travis Hamannik.
And this doesn't count, but I think we got Shrimp from the Oilers, right? That's how that worked.
Not from that tree, no.
No, I know. I'm just saying. That was
later on. Yeah,
that was later. Traded.
We also and yes, we did give up a pick with this player.
Traded to the Oilers. Gosh.
So basically, you can make a case that Snow fleeced the entirety of Alberta with 2 trades involving Hamannik. If we want to be funny about it,
I don't know why I'm thinking. I'll just guess so we can get another hint. I was gonna say Chris Simon, but
nah.
Yeah,
Chris Simon was still on the team.
It was a C-level prospect, John. Like, that's really hard. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I can't even think of any.
He played. Well, John, give me a name. Give me a name.
Matthias Weinhandel.
He wasn't drafted by the Islanders, for the record. He wasn't drafted by the Islanders.
He wasn't drafted by the Islanders.
No.
C-level
I
prospect.
can't wait till I hear the name because it's gonna be someone I'm like, oh.
When John gives his next guess, I'll give the three. I'll give the big hint that I'll just reveal his team biography.
Okay, good. John, guess.
Okay, Mark Streit. I know it's not him, but
No,
No,
yeah.
it's not. All right, so
C-level prospect Mark Streit.
I know.
Yeah.
I can't think of any C-level prospects from that.
John's like, I don't even know half the players on that team.
he was originally
No.
drafted. He was originally drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs in the late '90s, but never played an NHL game for them. If that helps.
No, that does not help.
He played games for the Carolina Hurricanes, the Islanders, and the Oilers, all in the span of 55 games.
What type of player was he?
He was a defenseman.
That helps.
He was a defenseman. Okay, there's your big hint. There you go.
Yeah, that's probably the big hint. See, that kind of eliminates the guys I was thinking of.
He's a left-handed defenseman, if that helps.
Nah, the handedness doesn't help. I have the names of the defensemen in my head that played, but you said he only played 55 NHL games
Total in his career.
Jeez, so I
don't know.
This is probably This is Brandon.
It's the last hint I'm gonna give. So use it wisely.
Yeah, I got to back out. I'm stumped.
I'm surprised none of you remember this. I spoke about him like a few months ago.
No.
Wow.
My memory is not good.
See, I'm thinking of the defensemen from that time, but they're all not prospects. So I'm
when he was traded, he wasn't a prospect. But when he was drafted, he was projected to be that type of grade prospect. And he only got NHL games as a fill-in person.
All right. Well, but
the Edmonton Oilers saw him as an okay rental piece.
You got to give us a final last hint that at least is like a biography on the player or something.
We just figure out. Like, you've sufficiently stumped us. Can we please?
Okay. He was born in Ontario, Canada.
No, I don't know.
Does that help?
We lose.
Brandon,
you told me to
give us his first name.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
No, that's too much. You're gonna know.
No, it's not. If we can get it from his first name, if we can't, it's gonna be.
I'll give you his first initial. It begins with an A. It begins with an A.
See, immediately I'm thinking Aaron Asham, Adrian Aucoin. It's like none of those guys.
No, dude, I don't know.
Al Arbor.
12:30.
Al Arbor was a defenseman for the Blues.
Yes, they gave up his 1,500th game, and afterwards they used that value to get the Halifax.
They traded Al Arbor after his 1,500th win.
Yep.
All right.
Maximizing his value.
No, hold on. Let me go through the names.
Are you fucking dude?
All right, sorry. All right, go. You can tell us.
Alan Rourke.
Oh, I would have never gotten that. Thank goodness. Isn't Alan Rourke on the broadcast team or something?
I don't think he is. Oh. But yes, he was. So he was thrown in with a third-round pick.
I'm so glad I wasted 20 minutes of brain power on a guy I would have never gotten.
This is what I mean.
He played only 13 games with Edmonton and left.
John and Brandon, I remember a lot of New York Islanders. I have no idea who Alan Rourke is. With
Alan Rourke and the third-round pick, that ended up being offer sheeted to Anaheim.
I thought my question was tough. My question looks like baby food compared to that. What
Yeah.
the heck,
I,
Brandon?
I took a guess when I said Trent Hunter,
I
but
named 2 NHL players that people would remember. No one knows who the hell Alan Rourke is. He's
if you're a
definitely going to
trade
listen to
fan,
this.
if you're a trade
He's
tree
going to
fan,
listen. He's going to listen to this podcast and cry afterwards.
so the
All right.
That guy was shit talking me.
So I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of that trade. So we traded him to Edmonton along with the third round pick. It's small. It's not that long of a trade.
John's like, I don't give
Not
a
that
fuck.
long, bro. I need to wake up in 5 hours.
All right, John, quick, give
John,
us your
all
trivia
John,
question.
I'll tell you another time. Do your question.
John's like, shut the fuck up, Brandon.
Way to ruin the fun, John. Way to ruin the fun.
Brandon, that was like a 30-minute question.
The question's like a half hour.
Brandon, that was.
Just drink a
Brandon,
latte tomorrow. You'll be fine.
You ever watch like I Want to Be a Millionaire? That was like the final question. Why would you do that?
I'm gonna pour a latte.
You should have phoned a friend.
All right, John, give us a question that won't take 500 hours to answer.
Or
Fine.
ask the audience.
All right.
Fucking Wikipedia question.
So-
That was ridiculous.
Instead of a trade tree, we're gonna do a team tree.
Alan Rourke, you asshole. No one would have gotten that. Okay, go ahead, John.
All right. So instead of doing a trade tree, we're going to do a team tree. These teams relocated and eventually became the New Jersey Devils. You need to name both of them.
Colorado Rockies.
That's one.
And names.
No.
The Golden Seals.
No.
Really?
Shit.
Oh. This is a really good question, but I know the first one, but I don't know who was before the Rockies.
So who were the New Jersey Devils originally?
So the New Jersey Devils, they were the Colorado Rockies from 1976 to 1982. But there was a different team that became the Colorado Rockies that was around from 1974 to 1976.
By the way, the Rockies were awful. They were horrendous.
Yeah.
That's why honestly it's weird that I remember them because most people don't remember them.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, okay. What can you tell me? What year they were from? That other team.
1974 to 1976.
You not listening?
So it's 3 years that team before they became the Colorado Rockies.
Well, 2 years, 74, 75, and 75, 76.
I can't believe it's not. I can't believe it's not one of the Golden Seals teams because there was California and Oakland, but apparently neither of them.
It's not.
Not the Whalers. That
No.
became the Hurricanes.
No, they became the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
All right,
The Atlanta Flames actually were not a thing back then, as far as I know.
They weren't?
Not
No.
at that point in time. Maybe earlier, but not 74.
No. Fuck me. Kansas City Scouts.
Yes.
Oh, you got it. Oh man, I wouldn't have gotten that.
Yeah.
That was
I remember.
That was
Yep.
a fun one because we were supposed to be relocated. Yeah, to Kansas
They
City.
were two teams. Yes, they were the Rockies and the Kansas City Scouts. I was thinking, okay, I knew they were the Scouts, but I don't remember what freaking state they were in.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot easier to remember the second answer because they actually existed more than like 2 or 3 years. So
That's true.
Yeah. That took less than 30 minutes.
That's true.
yeah, because of you, the Human Hockey Wikipedia just looked it up in your head. Ridiculous.
I made you that tree. I made that tree literally 3 months ago.
Okay, but like Alan Rourke.
Brandon, I can't remember something you told me like a week ago, probably.
All right, Brandon, name me the third player to be drafted by the Atlanta Flames.
Oh, good Lord.
No, not doing that.
I'll give you a hint. He's left-handed. Thanks, Brandon. You
Dick.
Brandon's like, he's left-handed. Does that help? No. and then he's like, you know what's fun? You know what's funny, John? He could have given us Alan Rourke's first name. We still wouldn't have gotten him. I wouldn't have gotten him. I don't know who that is.
I definitely would not have.
Brandon's like, that'll give that away. Like, what do you
Yeah,
mean?
right? It's too obvious.
I spoke about it a few times on Twitter.
Okay, but he's left-handed was a hint. I mean,
If I said the name Alan Rourke, would you have gotten that hint?
Mm.
no, we probably still wouldn't have. Brandon,
No.
it felt like you were waterboarding us or something. That was next time. Pick a question that we might have a chance at getting.
Oh my god!
I can't wait for the
All right,
next
I'll
question.
try.
In 1973, what Islander water boy dressed up as Sparky? He was right-handed. Brandon's like, I told you guys about this 3 months ago. You don't remember?
When did Sparky come to the Islanders?
2002.
I should have done that one.
Was it around the time the Dragons?
Oh no, I don't know. I thought you knew. I had no idea.
I think it's around 2001.
I think it did correspond with the football team.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Arena League team. Yeah.
Probably around the year 2000, like John said, right around there.
Let me see. Actually, now I actually want to know.
All right, let's see if I was right or John was right. He said 2001, Sparky existence. That's probably not a good Google.
Sparky's existence. Can't find it. Hold on. Sparky the Dragon. Oh, when did Sparky become the Islanders mascot? 2001. Oh, okay.
I was all right. I was on it.
You know what's funny? It looks like they changed his colors in like 2010. He actually originally was the dark blue.
Well, they changed his colors to blend with the jersey.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It was 2001.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2001. Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, I'll ask a more. I'll do a more simple question next time. I promise.
No, yeah,
That sounds good.
I like how the mascot that follows Sparky on Sports Mascots is the San Diego Chicken,
That's hilarious.
and he looks like Big Burn on crack.
Yes, he
I love
is.
John, who was the player that played in those years with the mask? Remember in one of our first podcasts? I can't remember his name.
Oh shit!
Something not. Oh my god, that's actually a really tough question. He had the most shutouts in like 1926, and it was like 1. He led the league in shutouts with 1 shutout. Goalies are so bad.
my god! Yeah, the guy whose name like I looked up for that show specifically.
I
and
think.
now I can't remember.
And let me look.
And fucking, it's probably like Cyrus O'Houlihan or some dumb shit.
I remember you looking it up because you had
Yeah.
1932. Let's just say that. Hal Winkler. That definitely wasn't it.
I mean, this is your fault at this point, John. I'm not asking any questions anymore. You can go to bed whenever you want.
Clint Benedict.
This is true. All right, perfect.
Clint Benedict.
He had 57 shutouts in 362 games, which is actually pretty good.
That's true.
They didn't track save percentage, but he had 860 goals against in 360 games, which is a lot of goals against.
Okay. All right. On that.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night,
Good
guys.
pod.
Yes, sir.
All right. End it.